She already felt something before you said a word. Yeah, it happens that fast. Here's the hard truth. Most men believe they need to impress her, convince her, chase her. They talk too much. They try too hard. And the more they do, the less she feels. You've probably been there. You meet a woman. She's beautiful. She's magnetic. But no matter how well you dress, how interesting your words, or how nice you are, she stays cold. She stays distant. And you start wondering, what am I doing wrong? But what if I told you attraction doesn't begin with what you say? It begins with what you carry. The truth is, women are far more instinctive than we give them credit for. They feel who you are before you ever speak. And here's the twist. When you're too focused on trying to get her, she can feel that too, and it kills the spark. So what does she actually respond to? How do you flip the dynamic even when she isn't initially interested? That's where Stoicism steps in. Stillness, power, controlled detachment. All the things modern men ignore because no one ever taught them what really pulls a woman in. In this video, I'm going to break down 10 powerful shifts in mindset and presence that awaken something in her even when she doesn't see you coming. This isn't about games. This is about gravity. Let's get into it. Number 1, she feels you first. You walk into a room. You haven't said a word. You haven't even looked at her. But she already knows something about you. She feels it. It's not about the shoes you're wearing or the way your shirt fits. It's something deeper, something primal. Women are biologically tuned to pick up on subtle emotional frequencies that most men don't even realize they're giving off. Before you speak, before you smile, before you even decide if you're interested, she's already made a silent judgment. This is what we mean when we say, she feels you first. Take Jason, for example. He's 41, divorced, successful, and back in the dating world after a long marriage. One night at a friend's dinner party, he meets Emily. She's 39, vibrant, confident, and surrounded by men trying to impress her. Jason doesn't compete. He doesn't try to prove himself. He listens, observes, and stays grounded. But Emily keeps glancing at him. Later, she admits it wasn't what he said that intrigued her. It was the way he made the room feel more stable the moment he walked in. That's the energy we're talking about. It's the internal calm that radiates outward. Stoic philosophy calls this the inner citadel, a fortress of stillness within, unaffected by chaos around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That strength is magnetic, not loud, not flashy, just quietly powerful. Women pick up on this. It's not something they analyze consciously. It's instinct. When a man is fully present, not trying to be liked, not chasing approval, he creates a contrast in a world full of men who are begging to be seen. Presence is rare, and presence is felt. Let's break this down. When a woman senses your calm confidence, it signals to her nervous system that you're safe, competent, and in control. It doesn't matter if she wasn't initially interested. She starts to notice. And curiosity opens the door for attraction. Now think about how most guys behave. They rush in with compliments. They try to dominate conversations. They nervously fidget or overcompensate. And even if their words are perfect, their energy screams insecurity. Women don't just listen to what you say, they feel who you are. And who you are is either centered or chaotic. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being emotionally disciplined. There's a difference. A man who can feel everything but still choose his response. That's rare. That's stoic. And that's attractive. So here's your shift. Focus less on what to say and more on how you carry yourself. Develop your internal state. Get comfortable in silence. Let your presence say more than your words ever could. And if you're watching this thinking, I know exactly what that feels like, or I've seen this happen before, I want to hear it. Comment below with, I've felt that, and stay locked in, because the next insight will reframe what you thought you knew about her resistance. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Number 2. Stillness turns her on. Stillness isn't just silence. It's presence. It's when a man walks into a room and doesn't need to be loud to be noticed. It's the energy he carries, the control, the calm, the confidence. Women feel it instantly. They may not be able to describe it, but they respond to it on a deep primal level. Because stillness signals power, power over yourself. A woman reads your nervous system before she hears your voice. If you're jittery, reactive, constantly seeking validation, she senses it before the first word leaves your mouth. But when you're still, truly grounded, her guard drops. She opens, not because you've impressed her, but because you've offered a safe, solid container. Stillness is masculine energy at its most refined. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That inner strength is the essence of stillness, and that's what draws her. Not status, not looks, but a man who's centered in himself. Stillness isn't passivity, it's self-command. It's not about being aloof or distant, it's about being deeply present without anxiety. A man who doesn't flinch when things get awkward, who doesn't scramble to fill silence, who listens, fully responds deliberately, and never needs to explain himself. That's rare. And rare is attractive. Most men don't realize how loud insecurity is. It spills out in the little things: over-talking, over-laughing, fidgeting, constantly checking their phone, needing to prove something. But stillness, that's quiet strength. It tells her, I don't need to chase you, I know who I am. And that calm confidence draws her in like gravity. Imagine this: she tests you with sarcasm or subtle rejection. The average man either gets defensive or overcompensates. But you smile calmly. You don't react. You don't try harder. She doesn't know why, but suddenly she's intrigued. Why didn't he flinch? Why isn't he jumping through hoops like the others? Because you're not playing her game. You're playing your own. You're anchored, just like the Stoics taught. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's what women are constantly reading, not just your words, but your emotional reactivity. If she's testing your masculinity, she's not doing it to be cruel. She's looking for something she can trust, something unmoved, something deeper than the surface. If you provide that, she feels safe and drawn. But here's the key: this kind of stillness isn't something you fake. It's something you build through challenge, through adversity, through choosing discipline over chaos, clarity over drama, and character over charm. Stillness is built when you wake up early and train your body, when you sit with your thoughts instead of escaping them, when you can sit across from her, meet her eyes, and be fully there, without expectation. That's what turns her on. Not the words, not the pickup lines, the presence. And presence is a superpower. So next time you're with a woman, whether she's flirting or pulling away, do less. Breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Say less, mean more. Because she's not just listening to your voice, she's feeling your energy. And if it's steady, calm, and still, she'll lean in without knowing why. Leave a comment: I lead with presence. That's all. If you know, you know. And what happens when stillness is combined with one simple act that disrupts her entire expectations? That's coming next, and it might flip your perspective on attraction completely. Number 3. Drop the nice guy. Let's get something straight right now. Women are not attracted to nice guys. They'll appreciate them, they'll thank them, they'll even say, "You're such a good man," but they won't feel that spark. Why? Because a nice guy isn't actually nice. He's agreeable. He hides behind politeness, avoids tension, and constantly seeks approval. That's not kindness, that's fear. And women feel it instantly. Take David, 46, an accountant in Chicago. He'd been single for years and couldn't figure out why every woman he dated put him in the friend category. He cooked dinner, offered rides, showered them with compliments. He never argued, he never disagreed. To him, this was what women wanted, someone dependable, safe, caring. But to women like Karen, 42, who he dated briefly, David felt more like a roommate than a partner. She told a friend later, "He's a good guy, but there was no edge, no strength. It's like he was scared to ever tell me no, and that was it." She drifted away. That's the problem with the nice guy mindset. It's built on fear of rejection. It's rooted in the belief that if you never upset her, she'll stay. But the opposite happens. When you erase your boundaries to keep her happy, she stops respecting you. And once respect is gone, attraction follows. The truth is, women want men who are kind, yes, but kindness backed by strength. A man who can be compassionate but still stand firm. Who can say no without guilt. Who doesn't collapse at the first sign of disapproval. That balance, that edge, is what creates polarity. It's what makes her lean in. Stoicism captures this perfectly. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That's exactly it. A woman isn't drawn to a man who avoids friction, she's drawn to the man who can handle it, who doesn't fold when challenged, who doesn't silence himself to keep the peace. She wants the gem, not the uncut stone. So how do you drop the nice guy? Start by owning your truth. If you don't like something, say it. If you're not available, don't rearrange your life just to please her. If you have goals, pursue them, even if she doesn't always understand. A woman respects a man who respects himself first. She can't feel attraction for someone who lives only to please her. Look at the difference between David and another man, Chris, 45, who Karen met later. Chris was also kind, thoughtful, and generous. But he had one thing David didn't: boundaries. When Karen tested him, cancelling plans last minute, he calmly said, "That doesn't work for me. Let's try again when it fits both of us." No anger, no begging, just clarity. She respected it. And that respect sparked attraction. Same kindness, different backbone. This is what most men don't realize. Attraction isn't built through comfort. It's built through polarity, through her sensing your strength. If you're always agreeable, she doesn't trust that strength. But when you can stand your ground with calm confidence, she feels it. She relaxes. Because now she knows this is a man who can handle her, handle life, handle himself. So let this sink in. Dropping the nice guy doesn't mean becoming a jerk. It means becoming authentic. A man who's not scared to be fully seen, even if it means not everyone approves. That's what women respect. That's what they remember. And that's what makes them feel. If you've ever been stuck in the nice guy trap and you know it's time to break free, comment below with "I choose strength." Because once you drop the nice guy act, you don't just change how women see you. You change how you see yourself. And that's where real attraction begins. And wait until you hear what she's really picking up on before you even speak. It might surprise you. Number 4. She reads your vibe. Here's something most men never fully grasp. Women are emotional radar systems. Long before they've processed your words, they're scanning your vibe, your tone, your posture, your energy. If something feels off, no clever line in the world will save you. And if your energy is strong, grounded, and authentic, you barely need words at all. She'll feel it. Think about it. How many times have you met someone and immediately sensed their energy? Maybe they hadn't spoken yet, but you already knew if they were nervous, arrogant, fake, or calm. Women live in that awareness all the time. It's biological. It's survival. Her body is wired to pick up on micro signals of safety and strength. That's why you can't fake confidence. She'll know. This is where Stoicism gives men a massive edge. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, decide who you are internally, and your external energy will follow. If you walk into an interaction needing her approval, that hunger leaks out. If you walk in anchored in your own frame with no need to prove anything, she feels that too. And the second vibe is the one that magnetizes. Here's the reality. Your vibe is always louder than your words. You can say all the right things, but if your energy is anxious, apologetic, or needy, she'll sense it instantly. Conversely, you can say almost nothing, but if your vibe is calm and unshakable, she'll lean in. Why? Because she trusts the way you make her feel. Think about stillness. When you don't rush to fill every silence, you're sending a signal, I'm comfortable in my own skin. When you hold eye contact without fidgeting, you're sending a signal, I don't fear being seen. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you're sending a signal, I control myself, and by extension, I can handle you. That's the unspoken language women are fluent in. Most men miss this and try to impress with flashy gestures, exaggerated stories, or constant validation. But women don't fall for performance, they fall for presence. And presence isn't what you do, it's what you are. It's how you carry yourself when there's nothing to prove. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." That freedom radiates through your vibe. Freedom from needing approval. Freedom from trying too hard. Freedom from being controlled by fear. That's what she feels. That's what makes her curious, attracted, and drawn closer, even if she wasn't interested at first. So if you've been wondering why your words aren't landing, stop obsessing over scripts and start asking, what is my vibe saying right now? Is it saying I'm desperate for her, or is it saying I'm solid, steady, and not easily moved? This is the work. And when you embody it, she reads it before you open your mouth. Now, if you want to take this deeper beyond the free videos, you should consider joining the membership. That's where I share advanced strategies, breakdowns, and lessons you won't find anywhere else. If you're serious about mastering female psychology through Stoicism, that's the next step. The men inside are changing their lives, and you can too. But for now, remember this: your vibe is your first language. Speak it with stillness. Speak it with strength. Speak it without words. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below, I own my vibe. And keep watching, because what comes next will shift how you think about chasing women entirely. Number 5. Silent men pull her in. Here's the paradox. Most men think silence kills attraction. But for women, silence, when it comes from the right man, is magnetic. It makes her lean in. It makes her wonder what you're thinking. It creates space for her emotions to fill. The problem is, most guys can't handle silence. They get uncomfortable, and in that discomfort they start rambling, oversharing, or pushing too hard. But the man who can sit still, who can let silence breathe, that man pulls her in without saying a word. Think of Robert, 52, a business consultant from Texas. He'd always been talkative on dates, believing he had to entertain to keep a woman's attention. After his divorce, he started noticing the same pattern. He'd go on dates, talk endlessly, and women would smile politely, but never call back. Finally, a friend challenged him to try something different: speak less, listen more, and hold silence. The next time he met a woman, Rachel, 47, he caught himself when he started to overshare. He leaned back, let the silence linger, and simply held her gaze. At first, it felt awkward to him, but Rachel later admitted that moment drew her in more than anything else he said that night. Why? Because she felt his calm. She felt his confidence in not having to fill the space. That's the power of silence. It's not empty, it's charged. It tells her you're not desperate, you're not performing. You're comfortable in your own presence, and that allows her to be comfortable in hers. Now here's the deeper truth. Silence works because it contrasts with what most men do. Women are constantly approached by men who are eager, chatty, and nervous. They spill words like they're auditioning for approval, but the silent man stands out. He doesn't need to rush. He doesn't need to sell himself. His presence does the work. Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That calmness is exactly what women feel in silence. It's not passivity, it's quiet strength. It's self-mastery. A man who can be silent isn't empty. He's full of awareness, of patience, of control. That fullness is what she feels, and it's what makes her curious. Now let's look at why this works psychologically. Silence creates tension, and tension fuels attraction. When you don't rush to fill the space, you allow her mind to wander. She starts asking herself questions. Why isn't he nervous? Why does he seem so comfortable? What is he thinking? That curiosity draws her closer. It's the same principle that makes mystery attractive. What she doesn't know, she wants to find out. Here's another example. Stephen, 44, met Laura, 42, at a coffee shop. Normally, he would have tried to keep the conversation going non-stop. But this time, he tried something different. He listened, nodded, and when there was a pause, he didn't scramble. He simply sat back, smiled slightly, and waited. Laura later confessed that his silence made her nervous in a good way. She said, "It felt like you could see right through me." Stephen hadn't said anything profound. He'd simply let the silence work. That's the kind of dynamic most men never discover. Because silence takes confidence. It takes the ability to resist the urge to perform. It takes trusting that your presence is enough. And for women, that trust reads as strength. So here's the shift: stop fearing silence. Use it. Let her lean into it. Let her reveal herself while you stay steady. The less you say, the more powerful your words become when you finally do speak. If you've ever experienced this, if you've seen how silence can pull her in, comment below with, "I've lived this." And stay with me, because what comes next isn't just about silence. It's about how subtle power moves can change everything. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Number 6. Power isn't loud. Most men have been sold a lie. They think power is about being the loudest voice in the room, the man who dominates the conversation, the one who flexes his money, his status, his connections. But here's the truth. Women already know real power doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Real power is quiet, it's steady, it's undeniable, and it's felt before it's ever spoken. Think about the difference. The loud man tries to convince you of his value. He's always talking, always bragging, always reminding everyone what he's accomplished. The quiet man doesn't need to prove anything. He lets others talk, and in that silence, people lean toward him. Women feel the same thing. A man who is secure in himself doesn't need to broadcast it. His presence speaks louder than his words ever could. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence of power. It's not about declaring who you are, it's about embodying it. A woman doesn't need you to tell her you're confident. She needs to feel it in the way you move, the way you listen, the way you respond. And if you're truly powerful, she will. Why does quiet power attract her? Because it signals control. A man who doesn't need to dominate others is a man who's mastered himself. He doesn't lose his cool when tested. He doesn't inflate himself when praised. He stays balanced, and that balance reassures her. It tells her, this man can handle me. This man can handle life. And that's rare. The problem is, many men confuse volume with strength. They think if they're not making noise, they'll be overlooked. But women aren't looking for noise, they're looking for depth. And depth can't be faked. It comes from doing the inner work, from building discipline, from refusing to let the outside world dictate your inner state. Seneca said, "The greatest empire is to be emperor of oneself." That's what women pick up on. When you've conquered your impulses, when you're not swayed by every passing distraction, when you don't crumble under pressure, that's when your quiet power radiates. And that's when she notices. Here's another angle. Loud power is exhausting. Women might be entertained by it for a night, but they don't trust it long term. Why? Because if your value depends on constant performance, it's unstable. Quiet power, on the other hand, is stable. It doesn't waver. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It's rooted in who you are, not in how others react. That stability is what makes her feel safe enough to open up, to lean in, to trust you with her attraction. Think about it. When was the last time you were drawn to someone who didn't need to say much, but when they finally spoke, every word mattered? That's the effect of quiet power. It makes your presence felt before you open your mouth, and it makes your words carry 10 times more weight when you do. So here's the shift: stop trying to be noticed. Instead, become the kind of man whose presence can't be ignored. Don't raise your voice, raise your standards. Don't try to impress, embody strength so deeply that it speaks for you. That's the kind of power women can't resist, because it's not performative, it's real. If you've ever seen this truth in action, if you've watched how quiet confidence outshines loud bravado, drop a comment below. I hold steady. And keep going with me, because the next insight will reveal how women test this exact strength in ways most men completely misunderstand. Stay tuned. Number 7. She craves masculine calm. There's a hidden truth about women. Most men overlook what she craves. Isn't constant excitement, drama, or endless talking. What she really longs for is masculine calm, the steady energy of a man who can hold himself together when everything around her feels like it's falling apart. And make no mistake, she can feel it instantly. Let me give you a real example. Michael, 49, lives in Denver. After a long marriage ended, he found himself back in the dating scene and noticed that women seemed to test him more than he remembered. One night, he was out with Sarah, 45. They were at a crowded restaurant, and the service was terrible. Drinks came late, food was cold, and Sarah started to get visibly irritated. Instead of joining her frustration or snapping at the waiter, Michael stayed calm. He cracked a light smile, leaned back and said, "It's not the night we planned, but it's still a night we get to enjoy." Sarah later admitted that moment shifted everything for her. She felt safe, not because the situation was fixed, but because his calm gave her a sense of stability. That's the essence of masculine calm. It doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means handling them without panic. Women live in a world of constant emotional currents. Their moods shift. They feel pressures that men often don't see, and they need to know the man they're with won't sink when the waves hit. Now compare that with the man who loses it under stress. Tom, 44, from Florida, was dating Jennifer, 42. Every time Jennifer got emotional, whether from work stress or family drama, Tom would escalate. If she was anxious, he became anxious. If she raised her voice, he raised his louder. It didn't take long before Jennifer told him she couldn't trust him with her emotions. Not because he didn't care, but because he couldn't steady her. His energy only added fuel to the fire. Masculine calm works because it's rare. Most men either avoid conflict by shutting down or overreact by trying to control everything. But the man who holds steady, who listens without rushing to fix, who doesn't get rattled by her storms, he's the one she feels safe with. And safety is the doorway to attraction. The Stoics captured this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is exactly what women crave. It's not about being emotionless. It's about choosing how you respond instead of being dragged by every impulse. And here's where it gets even deeper. Masculine calm doesn't just affect her, it transforms you. When you hold yourself steady, you think clearer, you make better decisions, and you show her through your presence that you're not a boy who reacts, you're a man who leads. Think of Michael again. He didn't fix the cold food, but he shifted the energy of the entire evening by refusing to lose himself. Sarah later said, "I realized I could let go because he was holding steady." That's the moment attraction deepened, not through words, but through energy. So if you've ever wondered why being louder, funnier, or more aggressive doesn't win her over, this is why. What she craves isn't more noise, it's your calm. If you know exactly what I mean, drop a comment below, I bring calm. Because once you master this, you won't have to chase her attention. She'll lean in naturally because your calm is the very thing she's been searching for. Number 8. Don't chase, attract. Here's a reality check. The harder you chase, the faster she slips away. Every man has felt it. You send too many messages, you clear your calendar for her, you overinvest too soon. And instead of pulling her closer, she feels smothered. Why? Because chasing flips the polarity. It tells her you've placed her on a pedestal, and she feels the weight of your need. That pressure doesn't spark attraction, it kills it. Attraction doesn't come from pursuit, it comes from presence. A man who is grounded, centered, and confident in his own life naturally pulls women toward him. He doesn't need to perform tricks or play games. His lifestyle, his calm, his discipline, and his sense of purpose create a gravitational pull. She feels drawn in not because he's begging for attention, but because he radiates energy that makes her want to lean closer. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Chasing is the opposite. It's forcing what isn't natural, bending yourself to win her approval. Attraction, on the other hand, is effortless. It's what happens when you live in alignment with your values and refuse to step outside your frame just to be noticed. Most men confuse interest with need. It's fine to show her you like her. It's fine to take initiative. But when your actions come from desperation, she feels it instantly. Contrast that with the man who has a full life, his career, his training, his mission, his friendships. He meets her, shows genuine interest, but doesn't abandon his world for her. That energy says, "I want you, but I don't need you." And that ironically makes her want you more. Seneca put it simply, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." Chasing is trying to control someone else's attention. Attraction comes from controlling your own state, your own emotions, your own path. That's why the man who doesn't chase ends up with more options, because women feel the difference between hunger and choice. So here's the shift: stop running after what you think you need. Build yourself into the kind of man who pulls naturally. Work on your body, master your craft, discipline your mind. When you live fully, women step into your orbit. They choose you because they feel your strength, not because you begged for their validation. If this hits home for you, drop a comment. I attract, not chase. Because once you stop chasing, you realize something powerful. Real attraction isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming the man who doesn't need to try at all. Number 9. She senses detachment. Here's the fascinating part about attraction: women are wired to feel when you're not emotionally dependent on them. Detachment isn't coldness. It's not acting like you don't care. It's the ability to want her without needing her, and that subtle difference changes everything. She feels it immediately, sometimes before you even realize you're giving it off. Take Mark, 45, a construction manager from Ohio. After his divorce, he promised himself he'd never lose his sense of self again. When he started dating again, he met Vanessa, 42. She noticed something about him right away. He was warm, attentive, but never clingy. If she took a few hours to respond to a message, he didn't panic or send a string of texts. He simply went on with his day. Vanessa told a friend later, "It wasn't that he didn't care, it was that his life didn't revolve around me. That made me want him more." That's detachment in action. Now compare that with men who give off the opposite energy. Greg, 47, had a pattern. Every time he met a woman he liked, he became consumed. His mood shifted depending on how fast she replied or how much attention she gave him. Women sensed it immediately. Instead of feeling free around him, they felt pressure. They pulled away not because he wasn't a good man, but because his neediness smothered them. This is the paradox. When you hold on too tight, she slips away. When you release the grip, she feels drawn closer. Detachment works because it communicates strength. It says, I value you, but I don't need you to complete me. And women find that intoxicating because it signals a man who's whole on his own. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." That's the heart of masculine detachment. You enjoy her attention, but you don't crave it. You accept her affection, but you don't chase it. You stay steady, whether she's near or far. That steadiness is what makes her trust your frame. Here's the truth. Most men miss women aren't repelled by interest. They're repelled by need. You can want her, desire her, pursue her. But if that pursuit comes with the weight of desperation, she feels it instantly. On the flip side, when you approach her from a place of choice, not fear, you radiate calm control. And that calm makes her curious. Think of it this way. Detachment creates space. Space for her to step toward you. Space for her to wonder what you're thinking. Space for her to invest instead of you always pushing. That space is where attraction grows. Mark learned this the hard way. In his past, he'd been too attached, and it cost him. But when he shifted, when he embraced detachment, his dating life transformed. He didn't have to play games. He simply lived his life fully, and women felt it. So here's the challenge. The next time you're with a woman you want, don't overthink how to hold on. Instead, lean back. Let her feel that your world doesn't depend on her. Show interest, yes, but from strength, not need. Because the truth is, the moment she senses your detachment, she feels free, and freedom is the spark that keeps her coming back. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below. I stand free. And stay tuned, because the final insight will bring everything together, showing you exactly why the Stoic man is the one she can't ignore. Number 10. Be unforgettable. At the end of the day, every man wants to know how to leave a lasting impression, not just to be noticed for a moment, but to stay in her mind long after you've left the room. And here's the truth: being unforgettable isn't about being the loudest, the flashiest, or the one who tries the hardest. It's about embodying qualities so rare that they can't be ignored. A woman remembers the man who made her feel something different. Not the constant chatter, not the desperate energy, not the showy gestures. She remembers the man whose presence felt steady, whose silence carried weight, whose calm allowed her to breathe. That man isn't chasing her memory, he becomes it. This is where all the pieces we've talked about come together. The man who understands that she feels him before she hears him. The man who practices stillness, who lets his vibe speak louder than his words. The man who doesn't fold into the nice guy act, but also doesn't overcompensate with arrogance. The man who listens more than he talks, who holds silence without fear, who moves with quiet strength instead of loud bravado. That man is unforgettable, not because of tricks, but because of truth. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." A man who embodies his values, who lives in alignment with who he claims to be, never has to fight to be remembered. His actions etch themselves into people's minds. And women especially feel the gravity of a man who doesn't just talk about discipline, calm, and confidence. He lives them. Being unforgettable isn't about leaving her with constant messages or grand gestures. It's about leaving her with an impression she can't shake. The memory of how she felt in your presence, the steadiness, the focus, the freedom from neediness. That's what lingers. That's what she replays later when she's alone. Think about it. She may not recall every word you said, but she'll remember the way you made her feel. Did she feel safe? Did she feel challenged? Did she feel alive? If the answer is yes, you won't fade into the background of her memory. You'll stand out effortlessly. So how do you become unforgettable? Stop trying to impress. Start living in such a way that your presence speaks for you. Anchor yourself in calm. Refuse to be shaken by her storms. Lead your own life with purpose, discipline, and clarity. And when she enters your orbit, let her experience that energy fully. That's what burns itself into her memory. Unforgettable men aren't remembered because they chased approval. They're remembered because they carried something rare: self-mastery. And self-mastery never goes unnoticed. So hear this clearly: being unforgettable isn't about her. It's about you. It's about becoming the kind of man who would stand out even if no one was watching. And when you do that, you don't have to fight to be remembered. You simply are. So here's what we've uncovered today. Women don't just respond to words, looks, or flashy gestures. They respond to presence, to calm, to the man who doesn't chase but attracts. The man who can sit in silence and still command the room. The man who's steady when others are shaken. If you want to stand out not just for a night but in her memory, you have to embody these truths. That's what Stoicism teaches us: self-mastery above all else. When you master yourself, you don't need tricks, you don't need games, you become unforgettable. If this video gave you value, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's coming next. And if you're ready to take this even deeper, join the membership. Inside, I break down the hidden patterns of female psychology, advanced Stoic practices and strategies you won't find anywhere else. That's where real transformation happens, and I'd love to see you there. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, power isn't loud, attraction isn't chasing, and presence is everything. I'll see you tomorrow with another lesson you won't want to miss.